think Commander Gals could start up their own.
They could shart
podcast.
as well.
They could shart. I don't know if the show can. Wish you would reassess this game, my friend. You keep ignoring my cousin, and he's about to win. And if you use counterspell on me again, I won't understand. I won't understand. Now there's a guy on a ledge. They do this whole verse that I didn't get the words for. And wish you would kill Adam this turn, my friend. We're close to out of cards, and he's gonna mill again. But if you be dumb and let him win again, I won't understand. Yada.
Oh, nice. That was really good.
I mean, do not agree.
I should know. That was really good words. So AJ, good job on the words there, giving that to you. the singing was. So is it semisonic? No, it's not semisonic. It's Third Eye Blind.
Same. Yes.
Third Eye Blind with is it called Jumper?
Yes.
Woo.
But the thing that is even harder to come by, as performed by who? In what movie?
In what movie?
Yeah.
I mean, that was that Suicide song pretty much, right? I don't know the movie that it would be from.
Movie. Yeah. So this is what made it really tough, and it was really tough. This was a Jim Carrey movie singing in the movie Yes Man.
I never saw that movie.
I didn't either. And Jim Carrey's goofy, and he has a lot of like inflections in there that.
So why did you go off of
barely got?
Why did you go off of that version instead of like the actual?
I'm just doing what I'm told. All right.
Oh, so that's what AJ sent to you.
That's right. He's like, do it in the voice of Jim Carrey. I'm like, Jesus. God. That's why it took me so long to even try, because the song, that version well enough.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen the movie.
No, I've never.
So you're just like, how is he doing this? Why is he like the?
Yeah, I was wondering why you were doing that. I was like, that's horrible. That does not even sound like it.
Minutes. I was just like, I'm just gonna do this.
AJ, don't make a song for me. I know you said I'm next. Please don't. I beg you.
Please do. And thank you for the song request. So Jumper from Third Eye Blind, performed by Jim Carrey in the movie Yes Man.
Nice. Welcome, CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
Well, this is episode 139. That was an amazing song. AJ also did another awesome thing this week. That that meme. And if you guys haven't seen it, did we tweet it out? Was it tweeted out?
No, our Commander Gouts.
Oh yeah. So Commander Gouts got started by a mystery person. We were trying to nail down who it was. We thought for sure it was AJ, and AJ's like, nope, not me. And then
and time of tweets corroborate what he's that it's not AJ.
Yeah. And then thought it was Trombley, and I was like, we were both kind of talking back and forth. I was like, it just seems like how the comebacks are and everything like that it's Trombley. Well, I had in real life Commander games, 13 hours of it this weekend, and Trombley was there, and that was one of the first things I was like, is that you, buddy? And he's like, no. And I was just watching his face. I'm like, is he lying to me? Is he fucking with me?
Well,
like,
I also would confirm that, because Commander Gouts was tweeting about like a standard card, and Trombley doesn't care about standard at all.
And was using like hashtags, and I don't think Trombley knows hashtags. I mean, not that he doesn't know hashtags, but he's like us. I have to remind myself that as I'm tweeting out something like, oh yeah, I got to think of some hashtags that people use. Like, it's not even a part of my.
So we're now narrowing it down, and we'll find out who you are one of these days, Commander Gouts.
One of these days. There's some witty comments on there. It's pretty funny. it's pretty.
I think Commander Gods could start up their own.
They could shart
podcast.
As well.
They could shart. I don't know if a toe can.
Commander Sharts now. We got a new one. Another Twitter
They
account.
do.
It's just underwear with like poop stains on it.
Oh boy.
All right, Commander Gouts, start Commander Sharts. The cool thing is it's generic of a name enough that it could like be its, it can be its own thing. It's not necessarily like a CommanderSmith thing because it's at Commander. If you guys want to follow him, it's at Commander Gouts, and it isn't one of us. I promise, it's not one of us that did it.
I'll be honest, I'm not that clever. They're doing like gout and toe puns.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he even jumped into my son got bit by a gnat. Check this out on Twitter too if you haven't got a chance. But he got bit by a gnat on his forehead, and Cindy, my wife, if she gets bit by gnats, she swells up. If it's 3 or more, she like gets nauseous, like she's gonna puke. I think I've mentioned that before on the cast, but yeah. So, but I think Drake, because he's so young, when he gets bit by one gnat, he just swells up, and so he got bit on his forehead last night, and his whole forehead just liquid swelling up, whatever. Oh. And then this morning it moved down to the bridge of his nose where he looked like the Beauty and the Beast, like Beast from that. Did you ever watch that series?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? Oh, it's really bad, but it was it was a series of it. So then I got home and I had him stand in front of the wall and I was like, just make a serious face and let me take a picture of you. And then I photoshopped him in with him
into the TV show,
the TV show Beauty and the Beast
promo picture.
It's like they had it does kind of look like him.
So does the show have a kid? So it's Beauty, Beast, and a kid? No,
this is what their kid would look like if
and you just like slid your kid in the middle there. Yeah. All right.
It's I Photoshop, edit proxies all the time. And I got to say, doing a person is so much easier because, like, you use the magic tool, and with proxies, there's so much color and, like, drawing, like, pixelated stuff that it's hard. You have to really go through the whole card to highlight things. With a person, I clicked on, like, his head and his whole body. It just highlighted it for me. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, it took me 5 minutes to do the whole thing. Whereas a proxy takes me... shortest time is probably 15 minutes up to an hour to do one proxy. So yeah,
look at all that time you put in.
Yeah,
people love it. That's good.
Yeah. So last week's proxy of the week, you guys can check that one out too, is the Walking Dead stuff. So controversial.
They look good.
Yeah,
I'd rather have yours.
And it's I made sure that we had ours done. So the 2 commanders that we're doing, gonna try to build a deck around Glenn.
Yeah, I didn't buy them, so I'll still build, but it won't become like an official deck for me.
Cheater.
Well, I'm lazy.
Okay, so this episode 139er said that today is all about what?
Lands.
All lands today. We are, if you guys probably went back, how many months ago do you think Fave 5's the last Fave 5 we did?
It's been a while.
So we're on 2 last topics of Fave 5 lands we are doing today, and we are also going into Smith's Mex of the week. Smith Specs of the week, and we are focusing on lands that we think you could spec on. So this is just lands heavy episode. I guess before, should I jump into the tags and then is there anything else we want to talk about?
No. I'd rather, you know me. I like to be clean cut, quick, and we don't have to dilly dally at all, and we get this going.
Any other old man that's sayings you want to say there? Words, dilly dally, clean cut. Well, whatever. Okay, so the way to support the show, check out Patreon. $1 or more gets you into the Discord. $5 or more gets you the proxy of the week, and $1 more also gets it so you can play some games. Did we play some games last week on Cockatrice? Yes, we did. You, myself, Jaw, and we started with Guy, but then his little got up. So then it was just us three.
Yeah,
so
that was Thursday.
And then you're going to be playing some more later this week. So that's a big bonus if you want to jump on the Discord, because we try to play at least once a week if we can.
Yeah.
Free way to support the show. Check out YouTube, subscribe there. Check out videos that will be there shortly. And for some odd reason, it isn't uploading our podcast stuff. So I have to manually go in and do that, which is stuff that you guys don't need to know. And then Twitter's where you can check out my son looking like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, the TV show, or you can check out Proxy of the Week or other fun stuff we tweet out. And then Gmail is where you can also send us a direct message. All right, so that's everything there. Should we just jump into you want to start with Fave Fives, or do you want to, no, it's Smiths. God, I'm doing it again. Smiths
next in the week.
Oh, really quick. I am drinking from my neighbor. They gave me, I think because I had people over, they gave us a housewarming gift. They were like, well, you finally have had people over that isn't like your family. Because I had, people over to play in real life Commander, 13 hours.
Yeah.
So I have a new Belgium Sour IPA. It's pretty delicious.
That sounds good.
What are you drinking there?
Oh, a water from an Elgin tap. Tap water. Yeah. I'm close to 2 months sober, other than like a little half glass of homebrew from my father-in-law.
Is that, are you getting to the point where you think you can, we gotta talk gout. I mean, we have Commander Gouts now, so you at least have to have a segment on gout talk.
Agreed. They said that we've done 33 episodes in a row, which I don't, I believed it right when I saw it, and then I'm like,
that's a long time.
That's like a half a year.
I know when the gout flare up was when I was at the cabin.
That was July.
Yeah. So it's been since July, and I don't know if we've done an update. Once you got it, once you caught the gout, then we could start talking.
We did straight, and then you were just cleaning up, and then you hurt your shoulder, and I got gout.
Yep.
And we care much more about my gout than your shoulder, apparently.
Because it just sounds like such an old man thing, and it's like, how is this? And how did it happen?
Dilly-dally?
Yeah.
I'm an old man.
How did this happen where I had it, and then mine starts clearing up, and then you get it? It's not contagious. We haven't seen each other. It's not like you can get it over the microphone. So it's just, it's because we're cousins. We just share stuff.
I mean, the presumption would be that like grandpa or grandma has gout, but I don't think that's the case.
I've never heard anybody in our family. It's just weird. Have it,
Well, our cousin Chris.
Yeah, you mentioned Chris before.
Yeah. And so his non-related dad had it. From my understanding, my non-related uncle has it. Non-related to you. And you think you got it from your non-related
guy that worked at Pizza Hut.
What's that?
The only other person I knew that had gout was a guy that worked at Pizza Hut. That's the first time I ever heard of anybody having gout.
Was that an old man?
No. Well, he was older than I was at that time. I was in college, and he was 30. So he was a good 7 years older than I was at that point.
So old.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it could be somebody, like grandpa or grandma.
I just think it's contagious.
No, that's not how arthritis works.
Maybe we have COVID gout.
Also not how that works.
Maybe that's how our body deals with COVID, is we get gout.
I mean, could be stress related.
Yeah. No, I think so mine, since we're doing updates, I had a flare up this week, and it was from after our cast. Did we do a cast on Monday last week? Is that when we did it? Okay. Yeah. So I had that Captain Diet Coke, and I think the direct relation to me is pop. So if I have anything that's with that, I've said it before, the natural flavoring, but it's Diet Coke in specific that is making it happen. So mine only lasts for 2 days now. So I feel it, but I can always feel like my toe is there. Like, that sounds really dumb.
I'm glad your toe is there.
I could just, if I bend my toe,
it always kind of feels there.
It just feels like there's something, like it's not completely right ever, even when it's not hurting. I just bend it and I can feel that, I don't know, that there's something.
It's a little bit stiffer. It feels like there's something in there a little bit now. And when I do forget about it, Commander Gouts sends out a tweet and I see that and it reminds me that I do have gout and that I'm an old man and that I did have half ago, almost 2 years now.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into the actual, let's see if I can find a good.
What are we at now? Are we at least 10 minutes in?
We are 15. So we did our.
Yeah, look at that. We're good at this.
We did our.
Waste 15 minutes of everybody's time. If we're different enough.
You want to start yours off, number 5? Or do you want me to start?
Go number 6?
What? Number 6? No, you can't use your other ones. Use your number 5.
No, I want honorable mention, but maybe I do that at the end.
You do that at the end. Honorable mentions happen at the end.
I thought they happened at the beginning.
No. Well, I mean, not when you're doing lists like this. We do them at the end. We'll say, okay, these are also ones that we liked.
Oh. See how bossy Adam is, everybody?
I have to hang on a second. I got to mute the Discord.
What are you doing?
The Discord is making noise, and I got to mute them. Quiet, guys.
Are you on a different Discord than I am?
No. That was Besh talking there. All right, so why don't we start?
He could be one of them. He could be the Commander Gouts. He has potential.
That's a good point. Oh yeah, because it is narrowed down because the meme that AJ made, which was amazing because it says it's a big muscular guy, and it says some dude's like, "Hey, how'd you get so muscular?" It's like, I do a push-up every time it says your name under it, but Lowery is the muscular guy. And it's like, I do one push-up every time I alter or change my decks.
The other guy's like, Jesus.
So then Commander Gouts or whatever, Commander Gouts tweeted that out. And so then we were like, oh, it's because it was posted.
Definitely somebody from the Discord.
Yeah. So, all right. Anyways, so why don't we start with your number 5? Wait.
Oh. I don't know if it deserves like a drum roll, but I'm going to go with Moorland Haunt.
Moorland Haunt? I don't even know
so
that
we
one.
might have done these very differently.
It's like cards
Moorland
that
Haunt,
I use a lot. Do you use Moorland Haunt?
I love Moorland Haunt.
I have to look it up because that's not... What? How do you spell it? Moorlandhaunt. There it is.
Moorland Haunt. So it's taps for colorless, and then you can pay a white and a blue, tap it.
I've never seen you play with graveyard.
This card. Stop. And then it creates a 1/1 flying spirit. So oftentimes I really like it because it plays well. White and blue doesn't really play around with their graveyard. And so this is one of those cards that you can gain benefit from your graveyard and be able to get some benefit. And generally, blue-white does deal with flyers. This was in my Kaikar deck from last year that Adam doesn't remember or pay attention to.
No.
And
when we do the spotlight deck, I don't look at I purposely just skip your lands because we're trying to look at all the other stuff.
My lands are all important.
To be honest with you, I've never seen this card, and so it is a good card. I just have never seen this before. I mean, I probably have it in my collection, but
I'm sure you do. Yeah.
It's a good card. The hard part I see is that you normally have a lot of recursion. I wish it would say any graveyard.
Blue white doesn't really play with that.
Yeah.
So that's why
it's like point.
Perfectly fits in there. You're like, you got a creature that dies, you get that little bit of benefit. So like, I think I put this in my Alila deck. I may or may not have, but it would go well because it creates a 1/1 flyer, gives it +1/+0. It can fit into spirit themed decks. I like it. Don't judge me. No. Tokens doubling with Anointed Procession, or you're creating 4/4s with the Angel Enchantment Creator. This is a good land.
No, I do like it. I just haven't seen it, so it took me by surprise.
Your face was like, what the fuck?
I was like looking at my list. I'm like, all right, which one is he going to hit off of my list? Because I just thought we'd have similar stuff, and then it was like, what is this?
Okay, so I don't know how. Yeah, what's your number 5? I would like to hear how you did the list.
How I did it, which I guess we haven't done a discussion on how we're doing our fave fives. Well, I mean, you're saying you use it.
Whatever lands you want.
So how I went with this is cards that I use a lot that I like putting in a lot of decks if possible. So that's how I went with it. So my number 5 is, I know this is kind of a cop out with it, but it's Path of Ancestry.
Sure.
It comes into play tapped, but
we're not too different.
This is an amazing card. What actually I screw up a lot of times. You tend to play tribal decks. Like when you make your decks, a lot of times there is like a tribe theme sometimes.
Well, there can be.
Yeah. It doesn't have to, but a lot of times you end up having that similar things are happening. Like, I don't want to use Eureka as it, cause that's purposely all ninjas. But like
your Niv Mizzet Prune deck turned into a wizard
deck. Yeah, because there's similar effects.
Yeah, a lot of wizards deal with spells.
Yarok is elemental. He's an elemental, and that deck kind of is an elemental deck. It does have a sub theme of elemental in it. So sometimes you do it not knowing you're actually doing it because the similar effects are the similar creatures. So the adding 1 mana to your color of your commander's identity is awesome in itself, but if it shares a creature type with that spell, so at least your commander, when you cast your commander, you're scrying 1. So it's just a nice little built-in, and a lot of times I miss that. I almost have to make a reminder token for Path of Ancestry because
you can scry on this card.
Yeah,
how about you just get
just
a little
read the card
and then just put it over.
You know what I need to have is like,
and just says scry.
You know, like the little figurines from like Warhammer or whatever, or even like, do they use them in Dungeons and Dragons? I think they do.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. But like maybe a little figurine that stands straight up, just that says scry. I don't know. Just that's
like
how I remind myself.
Something to you?
No, it doesn't
scry.
Need to. But anyways,
so just like a word model. I don't understand what you want.
I just need to utilize it more. I miss it. The one I miss it in the most is Eureka, which is the one that I should be hitting it the most, because there's a lot of ninjas in that deck. But it does say whenever I guess maybe not, because it's when you cast.
Casting.
Yep. Yeah. So maybe that's why I don't. But when maybe that's why I missed that one, because sometimes I will cast it and I'm not used to casting it there. But anyways, I like this because one of the things that is very common is you make tribal decks, and this is a very good add in those. And I do put this in a lot of decks. At least I should say I don't put it in if it doesn't have like at least a sub theme of tribe in it to my commander.
I don't think it's a bad 5-color card either. Like you're
4
looking
or 5
for a land that creates 4 or 5 colors and just efficiently, even though it comes into play tapped, like you're
at
be
the very least
kind of cards.
Getting a scry off of your commander off of it. So
yeah. So just depends on how heavy it needs to be. I like the card for sure.
All right, what is your number 4, Lowery?
I'm going to go with a card that we're both going to talk about later, but Maze of Ith.
Yep, I had that in my honorable mention.
In your honorable mention.
The only reason I did not put this in is it is going into decks. I didn't own one until more recently. So
I actually don't use it either because I don't have any proxies for it.
It's so cheap right now.
I love the card. Well, my version, I have a signed The Dark. That's the one that I have. And so I want to keep that a little nice.
Good for you.
Thank you. So, but like Trombley has the proxy of it, and he has Maze of Ith and all of like a ton of his decks at this point. Just because I don't play it doesn't mean I don't like it, but I do understand that it makes like for kind of bad gameplay too. Like, it's a really, really good card.
It is. It caught me off guard a couple times this weekend playing number 2. And I haven't done the hey number 2 thing. I should have done that when I first said him before.
Hey number 2.
But when
you should do it again so you're catching up.
Hey number 2.
There was I was going to attack him at one point, and he's like, "Well, I have Maze of Ith." Well, he didn't say it right away, but I was trying to decide, and he's like, "Well, it might have been I didn't choose him," and he's like, "Oh, I would have Maze of Ith you if you would have done it." I was like, "Oh yeah." 2 turns later, I attacked him and he Maze of Ith. I'm like, fuck. I kept forgetting about it because it's, it's a land. It sits back with everything else. And it's
it messes
a great
with
card.
combat because you're like, okay, they got 2 blockers. I can attack with 3. There's like some trades or whatever, and I'll get 1 through. And then they just trounce you a little bit because you're like,
you could even save
that I expected.
Somebody else too, like you can use this as a political thing too. And like if I make it so that creature isn't attacking, which number 2 was doing that a couple times, he did it to somebody else from attacking and not killing somebody, but attacking in general. The one thing I will say is it doesn't feel like a land though. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't do the land stuff. It's like, but I had it on my list too. So I'm in the same boat. Like I agree. I like this card a lot. I think it would have been in my fave 5s maybe a year from now. I come back to this and it's my fave 5 because it's in every single deck, But right now it's starting to get into my decks because when did I recently see it? Came in Double Masters. I think I bought a copy when Eternal Masters got down there.
That was years ago at this point.
Yeah. Well, no, because I didn't buy it when Eternal Masters came out.
Oh, okay. The reason, I don't have the proxies, and the other thing is that it kind of like gets rid of a whole archetype, which would be just like the Voltron style card.
Mm-hmm.
Like if a player is Voltroning, Maze of Ith shuts it down unless they have Greaves or Boots, and so. Like I feel like it kind of just I don't know. I don't really like those shut down total cards. That's why I don't use like the Eldrazi Titans because I don't want to shut down your mill deck. I want it to be interesting.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
If I'm using an Eldrazi Titan not to get milled out, like your deck just blows.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's not a fun game to me. I'd much rather be like have that anticipation of like, is he gonna get me or not?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than like, well, Kozilek's just going to shovel my whole graveyard in.
I don't even have to worry.
You're done.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess, yeah, and I like your thought on that because remember there was a time there where I was like, I'm always putting Butcher and Butcher Malakir Butcher, Kozilek.
Oh, that works. Oh, Kozilek. Yeah.
Is it Kozilek?
Yeah, you were putting Kozilek, the one that draws 4
cards. Yeah. That was going in tons of decks. I haven't put that in a deck and I don't remember. Like, at least since we've done this cast, I don't think I've been putting that in decks. I did want to do a side note when you just talked about milling. It just reminded me, one of the games I played this weekend was my old Fanex deck, just to be like, okay, I am going to change this deck into a animate deck. I want to play one last time with it how it was before I retire it. It fucking won. It milled everybody out. Like it was pretty brutal. Like I almost had the game won really early, and then people interact and do stuff, but it did everybody. The problem with that deck when I was playing it, was when I used to play tutors. So I had Vampiric Tutor, I had Demonic Tutor, and I was just being able to find whatever I wanted. But 2, you target one person. And so that's where it gets tough. But the thing that was the big wiener in it was the where's the dude? What's the dude's name that he's as strong as how many cards are in the graveyard? And then every time you cast a spell, each player mills until they hit a
aberration.
Yes. So I had him out and I had him copied.
That's crazy.
And I had number 2's graveyard library. I also had him cursed with was it Fraying Sanity? The one that he mills doubles for how many? No, I guess it's maybe not Fraying Sanity. Yeah. At the end of his every turn, he mills again how much he milled that turn. Yeah. So I had his library in half, and I was about to hit Trombley and Jeremy at the same time and kill them both, but it just took 2 turns. Anyways, cool story, Hansel. The deck's going down. It was just too targeting, which that's why I like Bruvac, because it's like all across the board, everybody at once. Anyways, where were we? Maze of Ith?
Maze of Ith. That was my number 4. What do you got for number 4?
Number 4 for me is Inventors Fair. I do play I tend to play a lot of everybody. We all kind of play a lot of artifacts, so it doesn't have to be in a necessarily an artifact heavy deck because it has that search ability to it. But it's at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. That's fun, but it comes into play untapped. You can tap it for a colorless, and then you can tap 4 and sacrifice it. Search your library for an artifact card and put it in your hand. You can only activate it if you have 3 or more artifacts. So you don't want something where you're only playing 5 mono rocks in your whole deck and no other artifacts. But most of my decks have 10 plus, 15 plus artifacts in the deck. And so this can go and does go in a lot of my decks. For sure in an artifact deck, but yeah, I like playing with this card. Just it has that little built-in tutor. I know we don't play tutors, but I like cards that have a built-in type thing.
I actually don't have a problem with that kind of tutor because it's a little bit more mana intensive.
And you got to sack it. You know, you're getting rid of one of your lands.
And so, like, generally when we say we don't play with tutors, it's like the very obvious ones.
Demonic tutor.
Yeah, demonic, and then the worldly tutors of the world. Yeah. Like in Calamax, I played Court of Calling. That's a tutor, but like it taps Calamax, so like it fits in.
It fits the theme.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with tutors if they fit the theme, because it's not going to just be like in Calamax. I could run Gamble, Mystica tutor, Worldly tutor, and then the others, and I just ran the 1 or 2.
Yeah,
I don't even remember the 2. So yeah.
Well,
so a mana intensive one that goes for a specific thing, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. All right, number 3 for you.
Number 3 for me is going to be Herborg, Tomb of Yogmoth.
I was in my thought process. I didn't get that even on my honorable mention, but I do like that card.
So this one comes into play, and it turns all lands into also swamps. So they are whatever type they are, and they can all tap for a swamp. And there's some really kind of cool things that can be done with that. That turns your Mazavith to be able to tap for a swamp. That allows you, if you're playing Filth, which is if it's in your graveyard, all of your creatures get Swamp Walk. It makes your creatures unblockable. You can be this works with Cabal Coffers, which everybody kind of knows that interaction where Cabal Coffers, when you're tapping that for 2 and then tap it, it gives you mana for every swamp you control. Well, all of your cards are swamps, and it gets ridiculous. So there's some really cool things that Herborg, and also like it's nice because it's also like a mana fixer in a 2 and 3 color deck. You just put it in there as a swamp, and once you get that, you don't have to worry about your swamps per se.
And you're normally playing in a black deck, and you probably have like a Crypt Ghast in there or an Arcana in there that if you're tapping a swamp, you double it. So it kind of helps you with that card's just amazing with that. Because
if you have your utility lands like we are kind of talking about, like Moorland Haunt, that would also, that taps for a swamp.
What card is that?
Doubled by Moorland Swamp. Moorland Haunt. Moorland Swamp. So Herborg Tomb of Yogmoth is a great card. And then it also has like legacy implications that I just remember. Like turn 1, Dark Depths into play. Turn 2, Herborg, tap Dark Depths and Herborg for 2 black. Vampire Hexmage into play. Sacrifice that. Remove all of the counters from Dark Depths. You get a 20/20 on turn 2. You're like, that is fucking sweet.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing card. I do like that. I do. If I play a black deck, that typically goes in there. So I dig it.
Yeah.
All right.
Number 3.
My number 3 is pretty boring. It's going to be quick, but it is in a lot of my decks. It's just Reliquary Tower. I put that in quite a few decks. It just you get a mana off of it, and then you have no maximum hand size. So there's a lot of times all my decks have drawing and have the capability of having more than 7 cards in my hand. I always try to have that in there, and more often than not, I do that. Especially Brewvac that happens so much with that deck. But my new revamped Yarok deck that I did. So I did play another side note to the games this week. The same thing. Every time Yarok I've played that since it's been revamped, it does the same thing where it just goes off and my turn lasts for 30, 40 minutes. And then it's just win the game on the spot. And I played it and I had what did I have there? 15. When I played it with you, I was up to 30 cards and you're like, there's nothing we can do. Let's just concede because this is taking too long.
Yeah. I mean, that was the case.
Yeah. And so that's what but Reliquary Tower was the thing that was making it so I didn't have, and that I just like having that safety net where I don't have to think about a library of Lenge or anything like that, getting the cards to make it so you have no maximum hand size because, like I said, more often than not, I have draw in there and I will have more than 7. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not bad to discard, but it's better if you can try to keep everything in your hand.
I've heard the logic of if you've drawn more cards than you need in your hand, like it's fine to discard those cards because you get to sculpt your hand a lot better. I can see like Reliquary Tower as like a time saver for a game. I don't have a problem with that idea either. I'm just like, I don't have to like figure out what to discard. So the game can just keep on moving.
Right.
But situations change also in one turn where you're like, oh man, I discarded that card, or I get to keep all these cards.
Yeah.
And now I didn't have to make that decision. Game state has changed completely and I'm ready for it either way. So it's a card that I definitely fall in and out of love with. And
it's an easy add, like it gives you mana. It doesn't come into play tapped. And if you're drawing cards, I mean, I'd say it's probably in 75, 80% of my decks, especially the ones that I've built recently. Because they will have a lot of. If I have a lot of draw, which I typically do, then it just automatically pops in there. That's kind of my.
There was an interaction that we found out last year, right, with Jin Gataxius. How did that work? I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, look it up because I vaguely remember it. Oh yeah, no, we were just talking about it. When
each opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7.
So,
but Reliquary Tower says you don't have any hand size. So, so somebody had the Reliquary Tower out, and then I think it was Trombley played Jin Gataxius. I think Jeremy had Reliquary Tower out. It could be flip-flop.
Yep, you're right, yeah.
And then it was just like everybody else got fucked, and then those two just played Magic. That was basically what happened.
Yep.
So
that's your hand is -7 to infinity. So whatever that number is, that's
still infinity.
So, all right, what is your number 2?
Number 2.
Hey, number 2.
Hey, number 2.
Is Nykthos Shrine to Nyx.
I was very close getting that in there too.
So this one, it taps for colorless, or you can pay to tap it, and then you get mana equal to what the fuck is it called?
Like your devotion.
I
don't think it says devotion on it, does it?
No, for mana symbols of a certain type.
Yeah, I don't think it says devotion, but that's what it does.
I had this all pulled up and I didn't look at any of it. So let me actually read the card. Choose a color, add to your mana pool an amount of mana that devotion. Is color equal to your devotion to that color. And so this is great for monocolored decks. Also, I feel like it's a fair way of doing like Cabal Coffers or Gaia's Cradle, but also doesn't like totally go bad. So like after a Wrath, Cradle's pretty not good unless you can refill with creatures, and Cabal Coffers is, they're both fantastic cards.
And at the very least, it's giving you 1 mana. So if you don't have any creatures out, it's giving you a mana there.
So I just think this is a fair way, but it can still produce a ton of mana. And also I kind of like using like land untappers with it. So there's like a Satyr that'll tap on tap lands, or Ley Druid, or there's Kira's Follower. So
it just sounds like you're saying like like druid in French. Le druid. It's the druid. El Nino. Spanish for
that's
the Nino.
El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
They're all Latin based, so it works.
Le druid.
So that's
I like this card a lot.
My version of a lot of mana, and generally it's pretty fair. So I think I just like it.
I dig
that part.
All right.
Number deuce.
Number two.
X2.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, number 2.
My number 2 is a card that goes in quite a few decks because I hate counterspells.
Oh.
Cavern of Souls. I love this card.
That one. Yeah.
You knew I'd say that one?
No, once you said I don't like counterspells. I was like, oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And it is in a ton of your decks.
Yeah, it's in a majority of my decks. I mean, at least if I want my commander to get out without being like getting worried that it's going to get countered, this just goes right in because it gives you any color, basically, because it's color spent to cast creature spells of chosen type. Well, so you kind of got to go tribal a little bit, but it doesn't have to because you can still tap it for one colorless mana. But just, I mean, it's self-explanatory. I hate counterspells, and this stops counterspells of at least my commander.
It lets your commander get out, and that's generally what you're putting it in there for. And I can understand that.
There's something bitter about casting your commander and getting it countered and having to have the cast pay 2 more to get him again, compared to if you cast him and he's in the battlefield and somebody goes, I kill that with something. There's something a little more bitter that it never comes to the battlefield when it gets countered and goes back and you have to pay the stupid commander tax. So yeah. Have I told you I don't like counterspells? And so I'm in a dilemma of what the Discord is doing this week, by the way.
Yeah. Let's get that proxy rolling.
Yeah. What is it? It was mana
short.
Is it mana?
No, maybe
mana confluence? Isn't that what it is?
No, it's not. That's a land.
Oh, not confluence. It's the
counterspell because you don't have a proxy.
It's the counterspell mana one. What is it?
It's not mana short either. Hold on. Why is Discord pulling up so slow?
Mana confluence, isn't it?
A jackal! Jackal! It's a jackal! It looks like a jackal! 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 It's a jackal! Jackal!
Time!
It wasn't right the first time you said it. Why the hell would it be right the next 10 times? God!
No, that's a land.
Yeah. Hey, is it mana confluence?
Well,
mana drain?
Yes, that sounds right.
Making sure here. Mana drain? Yes, it is mana drain.
Did they just ask? Yeah.
Yeah. So Discord is requesting mana drain, but guess who doesn't own that card? And it's a $160 card. I'm not going out to buy it, especially since it's a counterspell.
Maybe
and my rules is I don't
$85.
make cards I don't own. So I'm like, what do? I make a separate folder of cards I can't print for myself. Do not touch. I will say though, I did break the rule with Brewvac, and they still haven't sent the next orders of Jumpstart. So it's all Brewvac's doing is going up in price. So
yes, it is.
Fuck. Anyways, okay, so that's my Cavern of Souls. Let's get an actual drum roll here. Lowery, you're number 1.
That's not. This is the real place where you do the drum roll.
Oh, sorry. Hang on, let me go find that again.
No, I don't. Nobody cares at this point. It's the boring version. Fetches.
See, you cheat.
I know.
Cheat. You put a whole bunch in one. I will say I did put like scry lands, but I didn't put that as a thing. I was like, no. Fetches. All right.
I know. Actually, I crossed one out. That fetches were added today. I've had this list for months and months and months. This is pre-COVID list, and I was just like, no, why wouldn't I put fetches here? I can do what I want. It's my list. So fetches, the boring one. That doesn't matter. What'd you put for one?
Now we're
Is yours also boring?
No, it's the most amazing card in the world. It's a card I got for so cheap.
I hate you.
Gaia's Cradle. Woo! The best trade I have ever made.
Yes, of course it is. You took advantage of a little kid.
I was also a little kid.
Doesn't matter. doesn't change the fact that I was also a little kid.
I traded what is it? Lord of...
It was a bad red card.
What was his name? It's the red dude.
I don't even remember at this point.
Lord of... Gosh. Go back to
Memories
episode 1 or something like that.
Swiss cheese. Doesn't matter.
Lord of the Pit. No, I'm just kidding. It was the red. He's as strong as how many creatures you have or something.
It was Keldon Warlord or something.
That's right. Keldon. Let me just pull that up just so we can all... Keldon Warlord. All right. I don't think
I ever even used it either.
Keldon Warlord. He is 2 and a...
You put pressure on me.
2 red. He's star. He's a human barbarian. Keldron Warlord's power and toughness are equal to the number of non-wall creatures you control. Current price, 25 cents.
I could probably find it for cheaper.
People are giving it away. They're paying you to take Keldron Warlord. Okay, so Gaia's Cradle is my number 1. It goes in every single green deck that I have. And you actually own a copy, don't you now?
I do. I still don't have it in any decks. Because I'm not a dickhead.
You just haven't played a green deck in a while, right? You have...
I mean, I could go through and add it in, because I do have your proxies, so I could go through.
Yeah, I mean, you do edit your deck so much, I'm surprised this didn't just jump in there.
I agree.
But yeah, everybody you know what Gaia's Cradle is.
Ethics.
Tap it for a green for each creature you control. That is my number 1 by far. Well, that's
good for you. Good for you. What are your honorable mentions?
So I play with Reflecting Pool quite a bit, especially if I'm playing
like that one. I do like that one.
3 or more colors. I had Scry Lands on here. I like using those a lot.
I do use those a lot as well.
I put Halmar Depths because I do every blue deck pretty much has that in there.
I've been using that less lately.
And then one card I tend to use quite a bit is Westvale Abbey, which is kind of a different one to use. But I use that more often than not because I do play with counters, creature counter cards.
Tokens?
Yeah, tokens. There we go. So if you don't know what that one is, that's the colorless. You can tap 5, pay a life, create a 1/1 white and black human cleric. Or you can tap 5, sacrifice 5 creatures, and then you transform it, and it turns into a 9/7 flying lifelink, indestructible haste demon. So, but yeah, I've played with that one. Yeah, that one's gone in quite a few decks. Anything that's black has black in it, and I'm dealing with creature tokens, it's in there. So it's in my Tesa deck. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I have it in there, but it's in any creature token type deck. What about yours? And I had Maze of Ith as well. Sorry.
Maze of Ith, yeah. So I crossed off Arcane Lighthouse for the fetches.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Arcane Lighthouse takes away, and Desolate Lighthouse as well. Same thing. But they take away like Shroud, Hexproof, Indestructible maybe. No, just Hexproof, Shroud stuff. And that just allows some of my decks to function.
Mm-hmm.
So like Naeth has to be able to target creatures. And if somebody lays down a Shalai or a Asceticism, you're just done. Your deck just is bad.
Yeah.
And so if you're really focusing on being able to target opponents' creatures or opponents themselves, I put those in the decks.
That card seems like your number 1. You talked more about that than you talked about your number 1.
Well, that's number 1 are just the obvious, the boring ones. Nobody really wanted that. And then the other one that I really, really currently like, and it's a new card from Ikoria, which is Bonder's Enclave. That is pay 3, tap it, and then you get to draw a card if you have a creature of power 4 or more. And so it's I've really I think I have it in about 5 decks right now, which is pretty uncommon, but I think it's the best. Currently, my favorite land that draws cards. Because it's cheap enough to work. It goes in decks where your commander has 4 or more power, or if you are working with a deck with high powered creatures. Again, like Naeth, I'm putting 5/5s down on turn 3, or Gadarak is a 5/4 for 3. You got these. I think it's just pretty solid.
Yeah.
And it's just a colorless, comes into play untapped, and I just haven't been able to play with it enough to know if I like it, but I've been using it a lot and been pretty happy with it.
Sweet. Yeah, I dig that card. I really like the showcase of that one. Looks pretty sweet.
There's a showcase of it? Like the
borderless?
Oh, borderless. Okay. Yeah. I think I bought a borderless last night.
Yeah, it looks cool because it zooms in on it. So the whatever that thing is, a dinosaur creature thing that's in there is really zoomed in on that. I like that a lot. I dig it. All right. Should we... Is that all yours? Your honorable mentions?
Yeah. What are we at?
51 minutes. So let's get through the... Specs of the week, guys.
You overlaid it?
Yes, I did. I did that. So when I told you, I was like, all right, I'm just setting up. And I was like, oh man, I wanted to get the bye-bye and the Smith specs of the week. And then, and then this is what I made. Smith specs of the week, guys.
It works because Justin Timberlake was a part of the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, look at that connection right there.
Yeah. Me and my 90s pop.
Okay. So we used to do 3. I kind of had 3, but then I added a 4th. Mine are grouped, so I kind of cheated a little bit like you with your fetches. But I think...
I wasn't cheating. How about you cheated on your number 1 by cheating on the trade?
There was no internet then. We only had Scry, the magazine. That was
Pretty sure it was an old copy.
An old copy? What?
Like, this is the only copy I have, and these cards are equal.
Yeah.
I get home. What the fuck did I just do?
I feel like we traded that and we were at Lutzen. Am I right with that?
No.
I feel like we were at Lutzen when we traded.
We're at your house. You put pressure on me.
All right. So how many do you have on your side? I just want to kind of...
1, 2, 3, 4. It's technically 6, but I can just name off 2 really quick since we've talked about them recently.
Okay.
So we're going to be focusing on land specs.
Lands.
And when we did the modern or the double masters, I talked about Buried Ruin foils. They're 95 cents right now. Already talked about it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, probably the best spec of all time, is probably Cryptic Caves foil from M20.
Terrible.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Card?
Yes. I come across it and I'm like,
solid one. It's at like 94 cents. I think it's all right. I bought like 6 last night.
I think I bought 1 just to have it and be like, if Lowery's right, I got it. I got it in foil. I was like, all right, I got the one.
Yeah, non-foil is worth nothing because they already reprinted it in the Zendikar Rising Commander set. So
definitely
go foil if you think.
Why don't you get to your actual specs? Start us off again.
Let's go with the card that we both want to talk about in different aspects, but Maze of Ith.
Yep.
I think the dark version has some potential because I think just older cards in general are just going up.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like Maze of Ith is seeing more and more of a reprint, and that's sitting around 10. Goldfish is saying that the dark version is around 28. But I was seeing on TCG that it was around 20, but those might have been like semi-damaged, like light play, moderate play. But I think that has some good potential to go up just as being an older card that's used heavily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had it on my list as well. It's in 15,000 EDH decks, so it's used quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I do like your dark angle because it is the only one with that art, isn't it? I'm gonna see the promo judge has a different like maze type thing. I went the foil route from Double Masters because those are at $11 right now. The other printings
more than the non-foil.
Yeah, the other printings like Eternal Masters. From the vaults realms, the foils there are currently at 24 and 18. And then you can get the promo judge, which we're not going to compare it to that. But the 24 and 18 is what you'd kind of want to compare it to. Those did spike around $30, but they typically stay around 20. So buying it at 11 right now and riding it up to 20 is very likely. I do like Lowery's Angle 2 with the dark because it is the only one with that art, whereas the other, the From the Vault one is the same as
Eternal Masters.
Yeah, it is.
And
Double Masters.
And the From the Vault.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The From the Vault is the same as that. So those three are the same. You can get the dark is a different art, the original art, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. It's really weird, but it's really sweet,
Yeah, it's real weird.
Yeah. So definitely agree with that. Was one of mine that I had on here. Do you want me to jump into mine or you want to jump into your next one?
You do yours.
So one thing I did want to point out is I think it's about time to get the Triomes.
Already late. They're up a couple bucks already.
Yeah. Well, I was going through them, so I'm going to kind of go through each one really quick, just kind of give an idea of where they are in decks wise. So this set, remember, came out in spring, and they're already in a shit ton of decks. So like Zagoth, I don't think is that the most used one. Yeah, the Zagoth's in 6,700 EDH decks. You have the foil and the non-foils regular booster packs at the same exact price at $8 right now. The showcases are at $9. So you're looking at almost a similar price if you want to get the alternate art non-foil. I'm not saying showcase foils. You can do that if you want because those will go up too. But I'm really saying your highest return, I think, is going to be going for the non-foil showcases or the foil just regular pack. So Zagoth and then Ketria? I don't even know how to say that one. But that one's in 6,300 decks. Same exact thing. $8 for the foil, $9 for the showcase. You go to the... Man, why can I not read any of these? Ragrin?
All made up words.
Raugrin?
One,
Kid can't even read.
two.
Is in 5,500 EDH rec decks. That's the foils are at 7, showcases are at 8. So you're $1 lower on each of those. Then the last two, the non as popular, but actually in EDH they're in 5,600 is Savi and Indatha. Both of those foils $6, showcase $7. Again, all of these, the foil prices are at the same as the non-foil or within $1. At that point, you go the $1 more and buy the foil one. I personally, if I got to choose, I love the art of the showcases. They look like comic book kind of art, and these are only going to go up in how many decks use them. I mean, it's just, you go in any 3, 4, 5 color decks, they're all using these. And eventually they'll finish. Do we need 5 more to get this finished?
Correct.
Yeah. So eventually I would think they're going to finish these off like they always do years down the road. But I think these are things to get now because I think they're going to start going up, especially because so many decks are they're being played in so many decks right now. So Commander is already drawn to them. necessarily being, I don't know, are they being used? Let me check and see here. Triome. I don't know if they're being used in any other formats as much.
Well, I mean, in standard, they have the most potential. And since they just had rotation, a couple weeks ago, and the shocks went away, Omnath just got banned today, so we'll see what they got going on. I haven't looked at standard, but
it's funny because it's still on Goldfish says it's in standard in Sultai ramp. Is that using the old stuff though? Let me check here. I'm just looking.
What, the shocks or?
Yeah, they're using the shocks are still in there, right?
No,
those got rotated out. Yeah, that's right. So this is old then. Although it says September 14th. When did we rotate? Oh, it was after this. So they haven't updated their stuff. So
no.
Historic is using the crap out of these, and then Commander has a few. Yeah, so this is only going to go up with these. The prices are where they're at because of pretty much Commander at this point. I guess we'll see if the bump. What happens with now that people aren't, like you just said, that people aren't using it in standard. Maybe we'll see a little dip down, but I don't think that they're going to go down much at all. Plus, you got to remember.
For me, rotation brings them down to $5.
One thing you got to keep in mind is Ikoria kind of got skipped. They printed it and then they just went onto the core set because they weren't they even delayed or something.
They were like a month late almost. I think.
And then they didn't even do a second. Like it was we had spoilers the next week after this came out for core set.
It came out on a Friday. Monday we had core set spoilers.
Yeah, so these aren't as opened as much either. So down the road, and here's one last thing I'll say about it: showcases. I think if they print these again, when they print them again, you're not going to see that kind of art again. It's going to be the pack foils, I would think, because that's kind of special. This showcase stuff, it sticks with that set. At least that's what I think. We don't know yet because they really haven't reprinted a lot of the showcase stuff. So, all right, what's your next pick, Lau?
I'm gonna go as a package, but Shizo and Minamo as mystery foils. So they are Kamigawa legendary lands, and they were non-foils were sitting around 15-20 before this reprint from mystery foils, and so Shizo is sitting at $8 and Minamo is sitting at $9 currently. The foils are from Kamigawa Black are like $30-$40. So I wouldn't expect that, but I would expect them to match what the non-foils are doing eventually because they're pretty close. And I can see them getting back up to 20 because they are quite good for Commander. Shizo is the black one, and that gives essentially your Commander fear, and then Minamo will untap a creature. So this goes really well with like Arcanus or just any almost any blue legend. So I see them doubling pretty easy, especially since they're foils. I did pick up a lot of mystery foils, and they're a solid foiling process.
Yeah.
So I do like them as well. And I would just in general suggest check out the mystery foils.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm writing down because Minamo, both of these, I think the foil stuff, like you're saying, it won't necessarily get up to the other prices, but man, you compare it to Champions, the Minamo is, it's at 67 for that foil.
For the foil.
Yeah. And you can pick those up. What were you getting them at? $9? $8?
$8 for Shizo and $9 for Minamo. So I think, and again, I would go through a lot of the mystery foils because there's some really cool cards in there that right now are at least matching the non-foil prices. So, and I can see them becoming a little bit more desirable in the long run.
Do you think Minamo could make it into the Commander Legends? We are starting.
I mean, they both
BT Dubs were starting to see spoilers.
Could, like, they all could, I guess. The thing, like, generally my rule is if a card gets reprinted, then it has the chance to be reprinted again. Like it's on their radar to reprint.
Yeah, we've seen
Um,
reprints back to back pretty much lately with some stuff.
So, I mean, if it's one, it's going to be all 5 in a set like Commander Legends.
What are the other ones? Do you remember what those do?
White one prevents 2 damage. The green one gives +1/+1. Red one gives first strike.
God, those are garbage.
Oh, the red one giving first strike is really nice.
Yeah, but how good these are. It's basically giving your creature unblockable and then untapping your commander. Like
the white one, I think, is the one that kind of got everybody onto it because it was a modern/legacy card preventing damage to Thalia, like protecting it. And so, I that style of deck went out of favor, but then I think everyone was like, oh shit, these are pretty good cards.
Yeah. I think what I have these on my radar now that you have mentioned them, because I didn't even think about mystery booster foils. I may wait just to see what happens because we are supposed to be getting spoilers soon, right?
Yes, starts this week, I believe.
So I may wait
14th or 15th
until we start seeing those to make sure that it is on there. And then after that, I think that's a perfect pickup.
What was I going to say?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But they're good cards. They're cards.
So one issue with the mystery foils, at least on Card Kingdom, is they're not considered foils, so they don't get their own section. Because the whole set, like, if it's a foil in the set, it's only a foil. You don't have a non-foil version. And if you have the non-foil version, it's not foil. So when it comes to the list that you're looking through, it's like in there. And so you can't necessarily find them.
It's harder to search for them.
Yeah. So I went through 1,600 cards.
That sounds like fun.
Which is fine. But I bought a lot of them. Like there was a lot of them really, like Balefire Liege was like $1 or $2 at foil when it was a $8 to $9 card. So
sweet.
I think it's worth to go through.
Sweet. All right. I have 2 more left. My next one is Glimmer Void. This isn't, I wouldn't say a Commander-esque card. You can use it in Commander. It's only in 2000 EDH rec decks. But this one has, I don't know. I don't know if I would say it has the biggest potential to go way up, but the foils right now from Double Masters, because it just got printed in Double Masters, $3. This card at one point, well, let me say other printings currently right now are at 10 and $20 right now. But at one point, this card did reach up to $60 because it was played, wasn't it, in Modern, I'm guessing, or something? Yeah. Yep. So it has that potential of getting there again. I don't think it'll get that high. If it gets played in Modern, you might see it jump up to $20-$30, but for $3, this is just a good card. I'm surprised it wasn't used more in Commander. I guess with that idea of losing all your artifacts and then you lose this mana. That could be bad, but it gives you any color mana as long as you have an artifact. Yeah,
and I think it's that part where you got to sacrifice it if you don't have an artifact. I think that's pretty rough in a Vandal Blast / Bane of Progress format where people are actually aiming to get rid of it. But yeah, I mean, I did pick up one.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad card. I think it has potential.
Or you can get the non-foil for $2, which why get that when you spend $1 more and get it for $4? But yeah, I thought this one had, so like Modern Masters was the last time that it was printed before Double Masters. And even in the Modern Masters, I'm trying to look back. That one started, with much higher price. It's $15.
That was a long time ago.
Jumped up to, that was in 2014. And it jumped up to 36, and then it jumped up to 60, and it was at 60 for 1, 2, 3 years. And then started coming down. Go ahead.
Well, the artifact deck was really like Arcbound Ravager was a real deck for a long time. Modern has passed beyond it.
Yeah.
Just like Modern Horizons blew a ton of cards out of the water.
So that was kind of why I went after this a little bit. I shouldn't say I didn't actually buy a bunch of these. I have, I think, like 4. So I didn't, but this is why I put it on my radar. I was like, artifacts at any point could come back, you know, in Modern. There could be something else that an artifact deck, and that this will go in that deck. And that's where I'm like, the potential of it going way up, spending $3, even spending $3 and getting back up to 15 is amazing, you know, and you're comparing it to 2 cards that are at the other printings are at 10 and 19. And those have just come down because this card is out, you know, the availability of this card being printed again. So I don't know. It seems I wouldn't say it's not a waste if you can use it in Commander is what I'm saying. You can use this card still. It's not like this is only for Modern. In fact, it's used more in Commander right now than it is in Modern. I'm looking at the decks on Goldfish, and it has Brea decks have it, Centriplet decks have it, and then the next deck is a Modern deck. So the top 2 decks that use it are from Commander decks.
Nice.
So, all right, what's your next one?
Kind of similar. So this is Spire of Industry, which is from Kaladesh. Taps 1 colorless, and if you control an artifact, you can tap it for any color of mana, and it deals 1 damage to you. So it's kind of like an artifact-themed City of Brass.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like, I always overlook it in a 5-color deck, but I think I'd like it better than like it comes into play tapped land, almost like a Path of Ancestry. There's a couple cards that are 5-color but come into play tapped, and I think I would almost consider this in Commander over that, but I always miss it. So it's sitting at $1 non-foil right now. Foils are around $6. I think either's probably fine.
I think again, that idea of you just wait for that artifact deck to come out. I mean, I'm surprised that we haven't had an Urza deck, you know, that hasn't dominated as much as.
Well, you don't need, like, this goes into multicolored, so like Brea, it works well. And so I was almost thinking of it like you're thinking of Inventors Fair from earlier. Like in Commander, you almost always are going to have some sort of artifact. And so you're almost always going to get whatever color you need out of it. And you pair that with like a reflecting pool or other types of cards. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's not used as much as it could or should at this point.
And you have your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are Commander decks that use it. I wonder, I'm curious really quick, how many EDH rec decks? This has to be more, I would think, because of that giving you any color. Spire.
Well, I don't think it's used a whole ton at this point.
It is in 8,000 EDH rec decks. That's quite a bit.
A little bit more than the Triomes. I think it could be used a lot more than that.
I mean, this is when did this card come out? It was Aetherflux or Aetherflux. Aether Revolt.
It's Kaladesh.
Yeah.
So that's like 3-4 years ago at this point.
Yeah, it came out in 2017. So yeah, that's pretty good. 8,000 decks. I dig that one. Well, what would you be more going after, the $1 or the $6?
To play, I'd make sure that I get a play set at least for the $1. And that's what I've done. Is just get a couple into the collection. I don't know for speccing. You know, foils always have the better potential.
Yeah. I dig it. I like that. All right, my last one is kind of cheating again. It's a group of cards. It is the Urza Lands from Double Masters. These aren't used as much either in Commander. I haven't never put them in a deck. I know number 2 said he put them in a deck, or he puts them in decks.
Yeah, I think you go colorless with this, and I think they're shoe-ins.
Yeah, it's hard because you're counting on 3 of them, and then finding that in a 100 card deck is a little more difficult. So that's why I'm like, counting on 3 cards to give me this. But by the time you get that, you don't even need the mana anymore, is my thought. But if you're able to search for them somehow, that's different. Anyways, beside the point. Showcase foils showcase foils, because the non-foils are only like $4 cheaper. They're at $30 and they really haven't moved. They haven't gone down. I thought they'd come down more, but they haven't gone down at all. Those are pretty spectacular. I like the way those look. I sold 2 of mine right away when I got the double master stuff. I kept 1, and I think I'm going to pull the trigger at some point here and buy the other 2 before they start going back up. Because they're mainly a modern used card, but you can use them in Commander. And the other option is the foils non-showcase. They're only at $2. That's ridiculously cheap. Because
I was picking them up for $1.
Were you? $1? Yeah.
Yeah. All of them were right around $1, like 90 to $1.20.
I would say,
so
it's hard to compare.
I got at least one of each.
Yeah, it's hard to compare because you look at the 9th edition and 8th edition, they're freaking expensive. That's because they're so old, and the white border are they white border? No.
Yes.
Are
8th
they?
and 9th edition would have been,
White
but
border.
the foil versions are black border.
Okay. So those are at 80 and 70, $80 each, for those. I'm not saying these are getting up to that by any means, but those prices are way up there. This is going to start approaching those more than those are going to come down to this. Those prices aren't even going to move for a card that's...
Yeah, I mean, core sets from back then when it was white bordered and then you get the black bordered foil, that tends to keep and actually like inflate prices pretty drastically. I don't know or understand really why, but that is a thing. If you go through core sets that are white bordered from the past that have a black bordered foil version, that's pretty consistent. Like a Stormcrow, that was the meme though too. But that got up to like $300 foil version. So
these are dirt cheap. I just think that they're a no-brainer to pick up if you really want to get just the foils, the regular foils of those. Showcase ones, I think they'll go way up too, but I mean that's a big purchase, $30 for those, but they look amazing. They really do look nice. So, all right, what's your last one, Lau?
My last one is a card that I used in my Omnath deck called Ghost Town. It's sitting about $2. It's from Tempest. And is that even right?
Yep.
It's an old card, doesn't have a foil. And it's a card that taps for colorless, and on an opponent's turn, you can return it back to your hand. That doesn't sound special, but again, that helps you out with your landfall. And if you compare it to other lands that do something similar, like a Boro, which is a land that tap 1, you can bring it back to your hand. That's a $30 card. Then there is the Visions Reserve List card, which is also $30+. Like Thawing Glaciers comes back to your hand. And that's a $20+ card. Those are all rares. This is common uncommon.
Uncommon.
I wouldn't expect it to get up to $30, but I can see it being a $10 card just because it's the cheapest version of a land that you can bring back to your hand on command.
I think its only downfall is that you have to do it on other people's turns. So it makes it so it's not broken. That'd be
broken if you could just bring it back to your hand for nothing.
Yeah. But
even so, in Omnath, it's a broken card for landfall because again, Coral Helm Retreat, you bring it back to your hand, and then you have one of the creatures that tap to put a land in your play. Retreat untaps your guy, return your land, and you just keep on doing it.
It's an amazing card. I probably am gonna buy this because even though Brewvac has kind of a little sub theme of the landfall stuff. So yeah, it's giving me colorless, but hey, I'm one color. This is easy. Yeah. I pop this back to my hand, and that's sometimes what I'm waiting for is an actual land. So any landfall deck, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And at $2 for such an old card, yeah, it's uncommon, but that almost doesn't matter. You know, when it's that old of a set, you might as well just call it rare because not a lot of people have this.
And its top price is like $5, and that came out around
M19.
I want to say when Lord Windgrace came out.
Yeah, that must be. Yeah.
Because then you return it to your hand, use the Windgrace to discard a land card, which would be that card, and then draw 2 cards, and then you can bring it back and kind of like cycle it through a little bit.
It's kind of on an uptick right now, and I guarantee it's because of the landfall stuff in Zendikar Rising.
Yeah. Yep. So I would try and jump on that pretty quick.
Soon. Yeah, I agree. That's a good pick.
Bye.
Actually, I might as well just play the whole thing. It's Specs of the week, guys. I love that song.
It's good. It's a good one. I mean, Mickey's appearance on it was a surprise to me. But
speaking of, did you happen to watch the pandemic special on South Park?
No.
Oh. Mickey makes a special appearance on that one as well.
Ooh.
Let's just
say after
Disney? He helps with how the coronavirus starts by effing a bat.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you get a chance.
Disney's going to buy Comedy Central and just shut down South Park.
Well, I believe Comedy Central is now owned by HBO.
Oh, okay. All right. So they're not going to sell that off then.
Yeah. So
now they can just go after them.
It's pretty, it was pretty good. It's a pretty good episode. It talks about masks, and they call them chin diapers because everybody just wears them on their chin.
Yes.
Did I send that meme? Oh, I did. I sent that meme on text message where it was like, it's Randy or the UPS guy comes up and he's like, Sir, can you please put your chin diaper on? I can't come close to you. Oh, sorry. And he puts his over his chin. South Park's good. I haven't watched South Park in years, and I just happened to watch that special, and it's pretty amazeballs. Anyways, all right. So anything else we got? That's pretty good. All lands. All right. Well, I think that should do it for this week. We will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
Gout toes and all. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.